Hello, City Skylines fans. I'm Sockswayup, and welcome back to another episode of Newman Shores. We got a comment from Jonathan Jackson. I hope you keep this running as a vanilla series until it can't grow anymore. I saw this comment as I was uploading the Traffic Manager mod video, and I apologize. But to answer the question, yes, we're going to keep this going as vanilla as it can be with the mods that I've already added. We're not going to add any more mods. We're going to probably see over the next few episodes some of the cars and vehicles that are custom assets and some of the buildings that are just auto-populating. They're going to disappear. I'm really starting to scale back with the amount of assets and mods that I have subscribed. So you're going to see things disappear from this, which in turn make it a little bit more vanilla, so I'm happy with that. But on to what we're building right now. So last episode we did add some trains and train lines for cargo terminal for the cargo hubs. And now I'm going back and cleaning them up because I just built them to be functional. I didn't really care how the lines looked. And here we're trying to make kind of an exchange or an interchange for the trains to be able to go multiple directions. One needs to go across the river, the other one needs to go in towards the airport. And now we got that taken care of. We can go each direction here. We can go right there down to the city, that loop back to downtown or across the river. Perfect. So this area here, I need some feedback. Originally, I put the trains underneath the city, and then when I was doing this rebuild of it or redesign, I decided we probably shouldn't put it under the city. It doesn't really, I almost feel like it's cheating having it underground. There's some areas where it's needed, some areas where it makes sense. Maybe the terrain changes and it just made sense to go through a wall or a mountain or a hill. Just putting it underground because you can, it feels a little cheesy. But that being said, I'm not 100% thrilled with the outcome that we had. Let me know what you think. You're gonna see here in these next few clips. We went with the opposite. Instead of underground, we went with elevated. It goes across, it cuts across the office and high density. Yeah, it kind of ruins our skyline. I don't know though, maybe it's unique enough, maybe it's different enough that it'll be okay. You can see here, we started to work on how to get it across the highway. I think some of the ideas I had, seriously, I'd love some comments, but some of the ideas that I had were to elevate the highway instead of the railroad, and then have the railroad sneak underneath the highway. Couple ideas, I don't know. It turned out okay. We play around with this a little bit more. We get it lined up, we get it figured out. I don't really like it. I used to do this a lot more often in videos in the past, and I would leave some of the struggles of City Skylines in the videos to make it feel more real. So that's what we're doing here. We're kind of showing me struggling with remembering to shut the snapping off on the grid's guidelines and just put it where I want it, and then line up the railroad where we need it. So that's why I left that clip in here. But you can see this is what I was talking about in the previous segment of the elevated railroad that kind of cuts across what eventually, when these buildings all upgrade, will be somewhat of our skyline along this river, and it takes away from it. So a couple ideas. I left it in the video after rethinking through it, and I just wanted to see if we could get some comments and get some feedback and see what people think, if there's a different way that you would do it. I have an idea of what I want to do, but again, I would love some feedback, and community-driven decision here is kind of what I'm looking for. So you can see here we're going across this other road, which again could be elevated and go underneath it. But it was also fun to just kind of play around with learning some of the mechanics, or relearning some of the mechanics of City Skylines without mods. And again, the itch for Move It, or something like the multi-tool that really helps you with some of these these network transitions and curves would be nice. But again, let's try to make it a little more vanilla, a little more natural, a little more original City Skylines. So that's what we're going with. So we're gonna get this connected up. We're gonna get it connected into the cargo terminal, cargo hub, I keep calling it that, right here by the airport. And then we're gonna play around with the terrain and fix it a little bit. And a little bit of a spoiler, this all changes next episode. At least this part by the airport. But again, just leaving some of the trials and errors of City Skylines as I'm remembering how to play vanilla without extra landscaping tools and getting all that done. But here's an area that is definitely long term, at least the tracks will be. I'm able to improve this area because some of the assets I already got rid of were the big trains that we just don't need. And that looks a lot better already. Now that some of the cleanup is done from the aftermath of the last episode, we are starting to expand this highway as far as we can up until our boundaries. And we're doing that because very soon I want to get to 18,000 population so we can unlock another tile, which in this episode that is absolutely the goal, is to grow about 5,000 more citizens. So we're gonna get there. And here we're just finishing the design of this area to extend the residential area as well as the mini shopping complex that we have built there in the middle. So first we're going to add this main road. We're gonna have it mimic the highway, the curve of the highway. And I'm using that same technique where I was measuring off the distance from the highway to make sure that it was consistent when we did this curve here. And it seems to be turning out pretty well. A good approach I've found to making roads and making them look consistent and line up evenly. And that's what we're going with here. So, and then this next part here, we're starting to create what's going to eventually be an off-ramp, the next, exit to the highway in this section of the city. And so I wanted to pre-plan that, and also make the highway functional for the time being. So now that that's done, we're starting to extend the district. We want to keep the self-sufficient buildings or self-sufficient homes in this area. And then we're also going to make this new commercial section here, the produce, the natural produce. I forget what the actual term is for that, but that goes along with self-sufficient, the green cities stuff. And so here we go. We're going to kind of mimic a little bit of the road layout for the existing commercial, but it's going to look a little different because they're going to be different types of buildings across the street. I think it makes a good breakup between it. It's a lot of commercial in this little block, but it's a nice little shopping hub for people, and I think it turned out pretty sweet. So we're going to get a couple more roads laid down, and then we'll start zoning it up. And then at that point, we're going to start, we're balancing the needs of the city. You can see commercial is a little bit up there, not as high as residential right now, but I wanted to get ahead of commercial and make sure that when we do zone as many houses as we're going to zone, that we don't have to run into a deficit in demand, so that we can keep moving, get to that 8,000 or 18,000 mark. And here we're also pre-planning a little bit and using this as also an area for some of our services, adding some medical. We're going to add some police and fire as well. Give this new little neighborhood some services. So this part of the build, we're starting to kind of rinse and repeat what we did in that other subdivision as we're adding in the roads that just fit in between the highway and this main road here, and just kind of make it unique. And it's very unique to a Sockswayup city. I really don't do it this way. I'm really breaking away from the grid and loving it. I'm loving the outcome that we're seeing, and it's definitely expanding my play style, and I'm excited because of that. And you can see we're just kind of mixing it up and picking and choosing which ones we like as we randomize this, and then getting rid of some of them that we don't. And the next step we're going to do here is we're going to, add some more residents across the way, connected right up to this commercial district. But then after that, we're going to add in all the paths that we need. And there's going to be a lot of citizens walking around and giving them enough opportunity to get to and from where they want to go without having to be on the sidewalks. They can cut through the neighborhoods. Turns out to be a really slick way of doing things. And then at this point, I decide it's time to zone. We can do some more of those paths while the houses are starting to get populated and grow. And what's the word? What are they called? Built. So the houses start getting built, so we can then do the paths. We can do some decorating and designing and detailing as they are coming in, and that's what we're going to do here. So while that first area is starting to be built, we're going to go ahead and move on. There is no way that we have enough people zoned to hit that 18,000 mark. So we're going to extend, we're going to start finishing some of the road layouts and figure out exactly where we want to develop a few more neighborhoods to help us get to that 18,000 mark. And you can see it's going to be a large chunk of the city, a very large chunk of the city. Pay no attention to the river in the background. We'll revisit that later. Here we do something else that's very rare in one of my cities. We're doing a roundabout. We're gonna go 100 over, 100 in each direction, and we're gonna create a roundabout here. There's 3 roads that came together, not at a perfect angle, and I thought that this would be a perfect use for a roundabout in one of my cities, at least. Yeah. If you've watched my videos, you You know my opinion on that. After a little bit of trial and error, I think we finally get it here. We're using the middle of the nodes and bringing them in so that they line up a little bit better. And again, the directions that these roads were going were unnatural for a 4-way intersection or even a 3-way intersection. So the roundabout definitely fits here. Eventually we remember to upgrade those roads. Maybe we do it right here. We upgrade the roads to have the correct trees on it. Maybe we miss one. There we go. We get it. Roundabout's looking pretty good. I think it'll be functional. We'll see when this gets pretty populated out here. It should be fine. We might have to, we'll try not to, but we might have to do some traffic manager stuff, but we'll see how it goes. So before building the new roads for the new neighborhood that we're building, I decided I wanted to make a separation with these fences of the commercial district. I did that on the other side. I didn't show it in clips, but I wanted to build this fence around the building so that we know exactly where our residential streets and zoning should end and give it a nice separation that isn't just houses and commercial blending. I wanted there to be a structure, a wall, something in place to make sure you know the difference and people can't just walk to the back of a commercial building and break in from their house. That was the plan here. Now that we have a nice separation between the two, I started to build some of the main roads. This time around, I decided to build some of the best word I have for it is arteries, basically where I wanted some of the main roads to be. As you can see here, I'm starting to build them, but not actually connect them to anything because I just wanted to kind of build a design and then I'll link it up with other roads. But I wanted to just kind of try a couple different approaches to building some of these neighborhoods, get them, all unique. So there's different size of buildings. It's not just 4 square, 4 square, 4x4, 4x4. That's at least the plan. I think it turned out pretty sweet. I'm digging this new style of subdivision. I think there's a place for grids, and I think there's a place for these more unique designed neighborhoods, and that's what we're going with. At this point, it was time to detail the area. There's still a lot of population growth that needs to happen, so getting some of the detailing in while I kind of wait for that is what I do. You can see we're almost at 15,000, so there's still 3,000 more people that we need to move in. And you can see our demand is starting to struggle, so at this point, I just want to get some of the detailing out of the way and just see where we were. I felt that we detailed, or I felt that we zoned enough residential. I didn't add any high density, but I felt that all the low density that we built with these really 3 new neighborhoods was going to be plenty to get us to 18,000. So we spent a good amount of time adding in trees. I left this in ×1. I didn't speed it up like I do on a lot of other replays, so you could kind of see the exact amount of time that it really takes for me to detail without some of the tools like the forest brush tool like I use in detailed, heavily modded Cities Skylines. But I'm really falling in love with these creator added trees, especially the 2 that I'm using in this whole city. I don't know the names of them, but this purple one and the taller, skinnier green tree. I need to look that up. I need to be better at that. But yeah, so I detail that around pretty much this whole area. It's very rinse and repeat. We're not overdoing it with trees. We're trying to space it out. You can see some places we put clusters like right there, and I think it looks nice. So we're not really overdoing the amount of assets that we're adding, but we're giving it a nice stimulation to the eye of having a little bit more color than just green and pavement colored all over the place. So it looks great. That messed up a little bit. Let's just not have a house there. I tried replacing the road, as you'll see here in the clip, or I tried upgrading it. I didn't want to delete the road. I think deleting it probably would have fixed that, but we decided just to leave it alone. Maybe a house doesn't belong there anyways because of the path. It looks better without it, I think. And we did it. Big city, 18,000, another tile unlocked. We'll get to that next episode. We'll finally get to finish the airport, get to the part 3 of the cargo terminal part of that. Exciting stuff. So we're going to do a little flyover live play, jump in here and just kind of show you everything that we've built this episode. As you can see, we're expanding big time. This was a big episode for us. We got a huge area here that's not populated yet. I have plans for that. It's going to be a couple episodes from now. The university, we're going to have to finish that as well. So some of these areas aren't actually finished. Again, the train, we got to figure out something with that train track. I'm not super thrilled about it, like I mentioned, but it's functional right now. And you can see, I wanted to check here to see if these buildings weren't upgraded all the way. It's kind of ruining the skyline, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see. I think I know what we're going to do, but again, I'd love some feedback on that. But yeah, the city's coming together nice. We're going to hit up this airport. We're going to finish it up next episode. It'll be my, again, my first attempt at finishing or building an airport in Cities Skylines. I've learned a ton. Excited to do it again. It's from a, fresh set of mind, knowing what I know. But I think, everything looks great here. I love the way that central commercial area really just pops in the middle of all of this residential. I think it has a nice look to it, a nice feel. We have it surrounded by fences. I love it. It turned out great. A lot of plans right here again. Excited to see what's going to come there. I'm not going to give away any hints. I'm guessing you could probably guess what we're going to put there, but we'll get to that probably 2 or 3 episodes from now. Oh man, I'm having fun. I'm having a blast making this. We're going to keep it vanilla. We're going to keep it going. Once we outgrow the 9 tiles, we're going to probably play around with 25 tiles instead of 81. I think 81 is too much. And if you saw my last video about the compatibility report, there are some issues that have been reported with 81 tiles that I think I've been dealing with in my game, and I'm going to move away from it at least for a little while and see if it helps. But I'm Sockswayup. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next episode.